physical inactivity is one of the top 4 risk factors across the world. It's linked to obesity and maybe a sort of leading sedentary lifestyles, isn't it? And including physical activity, or becoming more active in the daily lives, is seen as one way of reducing that risk factor. And so across Europe, it's about, I don't know, they estimate about 1 million premature deaths just from being inactive. Linking transport and health is not usually done. You go to the local authority here in Oxford or in London or whatever, or in Barcelona. There's a health department and there's a transport department. The transport people are usually engineers and planners that plan infrastructure schemes. The health professionals look more at prescribing pills rather than preventing things. But by linking the two, you can actually get into prevention of certain diseases. HEAT stands for the Health Economic Assessment Tool for walking and cycling. There's 2. There's one for walking and there's one for cycling. And it's a World Health Organization, WHO, tool that's been around for 10 years. And it essentially calculates the benefits and the costs of walking and cycling in terms of the premature deaths avoided. So it's somebody dying earlier than as expected in a country. And it's a global tool, but the data in there is at the moment for what's called the WHO European region, which is 53 countries, and it includes all of the EU 28, Russia and other countries. But it's been applied across the world in the US and Canada and Australia as well. And it's really come into its own by being included in appraisal in transport schemes. For example, the UK government has taken it up in its appraisal schemes. The Swedish government has taken it up. So local authorities and national governments can use it. Some of them have to use it to include it in their evaluation of transport schemes. That could be, for example, if you build a new cycling bridge across a river. And traditionally, what you just evaluate there or measure is the costs and benefits around travel time savings. So how much does this save the person to travel from A to B? But it doesn't usually include then benefits for physical activity. And that could be effects on your heart rate, on your general mental health, etc. So the HEAT tool basically gives the planner, the urban planner, or a practitioner or the researcher one way of calculating those benefits. Generally, the HEAT tool can be used to just look at the value of existing levels of walking and cycling. So, for example, in this country, only 2% of all the journeys are made by bike. But still, it has a value in carbon terms of hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon saved each year if those trips had been made by other modes of transport. And in HEAT, that assumption there, because we don't have the data, if you just do a general sort of assumption there, the assumption is there that about only 30% of those cycling trips, those 2% national cycling trips, could have been made by car, about 40-50% by public transport, and the rest by walking or not at all. And if you plug this into the tool, it comes up with about hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon saved each year. If you then value that economically with what's called the social cost of carbon, which is sort of one way of costing our carbon emissions right now and the impacts it might have on future generations, you end up with values, I don't know, about a few million pounds each year saved. So it's not huge, and it's a lot smaller than, for example, stuff on air pollution, which goes into the hundreds of millions and billions of pounds. But it's still significant. And the whole point about the HEAT tool is that current appraisal of projects or local authorities don't value that at all. So by valuing it at least a little bit, you might change certain decisions. And it's certainly a way of communicating that to the public for local authority. Okay, here's the value to the National Health Service, here's the value or the benefit to future generations. So it's a nice communication tool in a sense.